Looking ahead at some weekend games in the NFL preseason, Packers and Colts. And Indy, one of three teams right now that have yet to figure out their starting quarterback. Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson going rep for rep in camp. They'll compete again Saturday afternoon against the Packers. Let's get Bryant, McFadden, and Logan Ryan in here with their combined 4 Super Bowl titles. Guys, we saw a lot of Daniel Jones last week. Just a little bit of Anthony Richardson dislocated his thumb. And though Jones is going to start BMAC, Richardson is going to get a lot more play. But how much more difficult does the decision become with Richardson nursing that thumb injury?
Well, it sounds like the thumb injury, the finger injury, isn't a significant issue. So I think he should be good to go to kind of showcase what he can do in trying to win this competition. I mean, when you look at both quarterbacks, you know, we're waiting for either guy just to show a sense of consistency within them as an individual and just the command of the entire offense. And that's what we're hoping to see as this preseason progress for the Indianapolis Colts. This is the biggest question mark for their organization. Who is going to emerge to be the best player at the quarterback position as they get ready for this upcoming season? So now Daniel Jones gets an opportunity to start. Let's see what he can do, you know, and of course with Anthony Richardson getting an opportunity as well. Let's see what he can do when that time presents itself.
Yeah, and thanks for correcting me, B-Mac. It's a pinky, not a thumb. So Logan, go at it.
Yeah, B-Mac, I agree. And if I was in that locker room right now as a defensive player, I would want to see one of these guys step up and take the job. Don't wait for it. Take the job. We saw Anthony Richardson last week in his preseason performance not pick up the protection, get himself injured. Daniel Jones has a chance kind of taking some reps here in the joint practice and doesn't look that great. And now Daniel Jones is going to have a chance to take the job in his preseason start. Look, I think this is going to go on to the season until one of these guys. I think the games, the regular season games, they're the true test in this if you're a player. I mean, I think the training camp practices, I would compare that to homework. Okay, go do your homework. And then the preseason games, they're like quizzes. Right? Anthony Richardson failed his quiz last week. We'll see what Daniel Jones does with his quiz. But ultimately, I think it's going to come down the first few weeks of the season, how they do on those tests, on those regular season games to see who that starter is going to be. So although one needs to step up, I can see this dragging on for the first few weeks of the regular season.
Logan, you played with Daniel Jones. Do you see a second surge in his career like we've seen from others like the Baker Mayfields, the Sam Darnolds of the world?
Well, from a work ethic perspective, no one's ever doubted that about Daniel Jones. It's hard to beat him to the building. He gets there very early. He does all the right things to be the starter. You just want to see him seize those moments in the fourth quarter. You want to see him seize those moments in the comeback victories. You want to see him take over. And I think this is an opportunity for him to do that. I think, you know, it's a little less pressure in media than he was dealing with in New York, but he has a fresh start here. And he's athletic, he's big. Both guys like to use their bodies and run. They both need to find a way to stay healthy. That was Daniel Jones's issue. But I think he has all the capability and potential to be a starting quarterback in this league consistently. He just has to do that and prove that. And that's just the nature of the business in the NFL.
Well, both those guys have to be licking their chops to see who can go out there and play with Tyler Warren and try to get him the ball. Their first-round pick, 14th overall. Sometimes in college, B-Mac, they would just snap it right to him. He'd run it. He'd play a little quarterback. How versatile do you expect him to be at this level, though?
You know what? If the Colts are smart offensively, they take the same game plan that we saw with Tyler at Penn State and implement that into their offense, because the versatility is something that defenders can't prepare for, because we don't know exactly where he is going to line up at any given play in your offense. And one thing I can say about the Colts offensively, when you look at their skill positional players, they have an abundance of talent. A.D. Mitchell has been a terror for defenders throughout training camp. You look at what you have with Pittman Jr., you look at Josh Downs, you look at Jonathan Taylor in the backfield. This is a team in terms of skill positional players. Also, if you add in Tyler Warren, you have to like their chances if you're the starting quarterback in terms of the talent that is surrounding you. So Tyler Warren, in terms of the versatility that he has, you have to implement that into the game plan. And like I said, if they were smart, we take what we witnessed with him at Penn State and put that into our game plan, because I think that can make their offense better.
Yeah, Tyler Warren, I saw an article with him and Antonio Gates' name both in the title. I said, hold on, let me go through the details here, make sure this comparison isn't coming too early. But they were talking about his natural instincts. And Tyler Warren is a true football player among football players. That means that's a guy that loves loves ball. He can block, he can run, he can catch, he can just play football. He can get open in the zones, and he's doing all those things to be a quarterback's best friend. And I think he'll be really impactful as a rookie because most football players, if you know how to play ball, that translates to the NFL just well. They can draw up plays for him to get the ball. They can give him tight end screens and little passes that are easy for him to get involved in the game. I like the Colts' weapons. B-Mac, you mentioned most of them with Pittman and Jonathan Taylor and now Tyler Warren. When they get off the bus, that's a big athletic-looking group. They're looking good in pregame. They just got to put it together during the season, during the game. But they have some good weapons, so whatever quarterback does win the battle, he has some quality targets to throw the ball to.
Daniel Jones is expected to start, get a couple of series, and then Anthony Richardson is expected to play the rest of that first half, or at least the majority of the snaps for the Colts in this game, especially in the first half. Again, he's dealing with that pinky. It's the quarterback on the other side, Jordan Love, dealing with the thumb. He's not going to play. He's recovering from that thumb surgery. Matt LaFleur was saying yesterday that they do expect him back at practice next week, and he should be ready to go week 1. But Logan, Love was dealing with multiple injuries all of last season as well. Do you think this is going to be a storyline again, or just a blip?
It's how he handles it. Truly how he handles it at this point. Obviously, there's no regular season games. This could be quality rest for him to come in and start the season fresh. I don't think it's going to really hinder him too much in the season, but this is kind of what happened to him last year with the injuries, kind of got him off rhythm. So it really depends. Listen, we deal with a sport with 100% injury rate, and some guys handle them better than others. I think the injuries got him off track last year, so hopefully he gets going this season, but this is definitely not ideal. But it could be some quality rest, though. For some players, B-Mac understands that a couple weeks off in training camp is not a bad thing.
And most importantly, Matt LaFleur made it known that he should participate in practices next week. So I think if you're a Packer fan, that's a sigh of relief because of what happened a year ago. Just think about how bad the timing was. He got injured in week 1 in the final series of that ball game against the Eagles. It was a lower leg injury. So when you talk about his athleticism, trying to bounce back, in the beginning of September football, it was hard because what happened was he never got fully healthy, and then that made him overcompensate. That led to a groin injury. So he just never found a way to get healthy, especially in the first half of the season, and it hurt his development, not to mention the entire offensive consistency as well. So now just hearing this, granted, you don't want to hear this, but most importantly, they said he will return to practice next week. It's not day-to-day or we just take it by storm. No, we believe he's going to be ready to go next week. So just hearing that affirmation makes me feel like this is not a big deal like it was a year ago, and he should be ready to rock and roll, feeling 100% week 1.
Problem is, a lot of his targets are hurt as well. Dobbs, Watson, Reed, Wicks, all wide receivers, all have been banged up. Logan, what kind of opportunity does that give Matthew Golden in that wide receiver room?
I mean, a tremendous opportunity to be the wide receiver 1, to go first in one-on-one reps in joint practices, to get the most targets in the preseason game. But Matthew Golden, if you're listening to me, make sure you hydrate, make sure you stretch, make sure you keep them legs fresh for the season. That's when the marathon begins, when your entire receiver room is hurt. That is a good sign for opportunity, but that is not a good sign for your legs. He's probably taking a lot of reps right now, and I can see that overuses in that workload in the preseason really hinder some rookies during the regular season. So he's got to make sure he's maximizing the Normatex, all his recovery, because he's going to need that speed while they draft him in the first round and why he got a standing ovation there at the draft. He's going to need that for week 1. So he's got to make sure he's fresh for that as well. So he's got to make sure you get that stretching in. Trust me on that one.
And Logan, to your point, this is on the coaches because you're already dealing with so many injuries to that position group, the wide receivers. Now with Matthew Golden being there, still being healthy, granted, he's going to get the reps, but you don't want to overdo it. And now it's about the timing and it's about the rhythm, right? You know he is going to be called in the regular season. This is not a situation about can he play, can he get some significant reps. No, that's why you drafted him where you drafted him. Now it's about creating that rhythm and not overdoing it because you don't want this thing to linger to your young player because, Logan, you know about this. When you're already in that rookie mode in training camp preseason, everything is already going fast, mentally and physically. So you don't want to go ahead and overdo it and then create some type of injury that can kind of hamper your chances of being at your healthiest once the season starts. So what I would do is I would taper in terms of the reps with Matthew Golden and just create and understand the rhythm, because you cannot afford to have another injury surface in that wide receiver room when you look at some of the other wide receivers that are currently dealing with injuries.
He was the talk of the message boards yesterday, going one-on-one with the Colts' best defensive backs in joint practices, and apparently he won several of those one-on-ones. So a lot of people excited about what he can bring the Packers, but they got to get some of those other wide receivers healthy. We'll have highlights of every NFL preseason game right here on CBS Sports HQ, the 2 tonight, and then a bunch more tomorrow, including Packers-Colts.